everybody. I am Britta Stilwell. I'm here today to chat about working in the digital age of Zoom and all of those lovely things. So I work for a global software company called Conga that is all about digital transformation. Conga offers the most complete set of commercial operations transformation solutions in the market, empowering companies to increase agility and to achieve better business outcomes. Essentially, we make a ton of products and systems that help businesses run more efficiently, in a nutshell. Our cheesy catchphrase is commercial operations evolved, revenue process solved. So I, within Conga, am the executive assistant to the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. I also manage several special projects for the executive team. Conga is co-headquartered in Broomfield, Colorado and San Mateo, California, but our 1,300 employees are spread across the globe. And I live in Ankeny, Iowa, which is right outside of Des Moines. So how does that work with us all spread all over the place in different time zones and all that? You probably already know the answer. One of the many wonderful perks of living in this digital age is that we have all of these great tools to help us collaborate, like Zoom and Google Docs. Being a tech company, we were always collaborating digitally across all of our offices, and we were pretty much used to some employees working remotely, but in the past 14 months, we've all been fully living that Zoom life from home along with the rest of the world due to COVID. This forced remote working has caused a lot of challenges for businesses, but it's also awakened employers to this idea that they don't need all of their employees in one building anymore. A lot of businesses are shutting down their offices permanently and transitioning to fully remote work or hybrid models where employees can choose if they want to work from home or the office or both. So this opens up opportunities for pretty much any company to hire employees from anywhere. So you could work for Google or Facebook or Conga from Jackson or Windom, Minnesota, or really wherever you have internet. If you want to go off and travel and live that van life with a hotspot, go for it. So these are just some of the career groups at Conga, all of which have permanently remote team members across the world. As a software company, we obviously have a lot of development and engineering and product roles, but we also have people who sell the products and help our customers and just run the business overall with our accounting, finance, legal. Every company needs them. And then there are positions within companies that aren't even on this list, like me as an executive assistant, because I am one of a kind within the company at least. So one thing about more opportunities also means more competition for those opportunities. So if you are applying to a job that can be done remotely, there will likely be more applicants to compete against for the spot. So you got to figure out how to set yourself apart from all of those other applicants. So your teachers should have passed out or will be passing out a little worksheet for you guys. And so you can take that out now and we'll fill that out in just a sec. One thing to note is before I worked for Conga, I was actually a recruiter for an internship program, a college internship program, and we had the opportunity to sit down with hundreds of potential applicants that really weren't that much older than you, freshmen, sophomores in college. That's like not that far in the future. In the initial step of the hiring process, I tried to keep the questions fairly simple, but I was really blown away by how many people would eliminate themselves from the running just by undervaluing themselves and their experiences. I would ask people to describe a past leadership experience, which is a pretty simple question. And a lot of people would say, I don't know, I don't think I've actually had any leadership experiences. Or I would really try to pull something out of them, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, I was a captain of my sports team. I'm like, yes, that is a leadership. That's a leadership experience right there. Almost everyone has had some sort of leadership experience, but very few people are able to confidently talk about those roles. And those few people are the ones that we hired. For some reason in our society, we are taught to minimize our achievements to avoid bragging. And I am all for being humble, but it is essential in the job hunt to be fully aware of your strengths and experiences and know how to use them to your advantage. So there are countless formulas and quizzes available online to help you discover where your strengths lie. These tools are great. You might have done some in the past, and I'm sure you will do plenty more of them in high school and college. But the simplest and usually pretty accurate way to discover your strengths is to dig deep and analyze yourself or ask somebody who knows you. So to start off, under the I see section on your worksheet, I want you to take a minute to fill out 3 words that describe you, 2 skills you possess, and 1 fictional character that you resemble or relate to. If you are having trouble with the first 2, try starting with the fictional character and working from there. For example, when I was younger, I always thought that I was pretty similar to Hermione Granger, not just because I was a little bit bossy, but mainly I just felt like I had a lot of similarities with her. And so if I was filling out this worksheet, I could try to think of words that would describe Hermione Granger from Harry Potter and skills that she has, and then see if those are things that also fit me. Like I could say she's resourceful and she's smart and she is loyal. So those are all things that I would say could also fit me. So I could put those down as some of my descriptive words. So I will give you, another minute to go ahead and fill those out for yourself. All right. And then once you have finished filling out the I see section for yourself, then I want you to find a friend or a neighbor near you and swap papers with them and fill out the questions for the other person. Just put in the first positive answers that pop into your head for 3 things that describe them, 2 skills that you know they have, and 1 fictional character that you think they are similar to. And then I'll let the teachers let me know when we are good with that. All right. So hopefully you guys were able to come up with some great descripting words and some skills that your friends had that they might have not thought that they had. Especially helps people who are a little bit more humble when their friends can tell them some of the skills and awesome things about them that they might have missed. So one other mistake that applicants often make is only referencing experiences that they've had that directly match the field that they're applying for, whether it's in their resume or in an interview setting. You've all lived really unique lives, and each experience that we've had adds to our personalities and our abilities. You can always say that you're responsible, but those are only words if you aren't able to share experiences that back up those claims. The key is being specific and authentic when describing your experience in order to stand out above other applicants who are claiming to have similar strengths. For example, going off on my Hermione Granger mentality here, one of my top strengths is responsibility. I could try to support my claim by just listing out all of the duties I've been in charge of in my past positions, but many applicants can say the same thing. Don't get me wrong, you definitely want to highlight your past work experience on your resume, but you want to be more specific. So in my case, I can explain how I took on the responsibility of caring for my little sister throughout the high school years when we lived with our dad. I can also explain a specific time where my supervisor recognized that I was responsible and trusted me to plan a company event using his personal credit card to cover expenses. My first example explains how I developed and used my responsibility in my life in a specific way. And the other showcases a time when my strength of responsibility was recognized and utilized in a professional setting. So I want you to take a moment and analyze the strengths and skills that you and your friend recorded at the top of the worksheet. So just pick one of those to focus on for now. I know there are 3 sections, but we're just going to do one today. You can do the other ones on your own time if you have time later. So I want you to pick one, write an example of how you have used or developed that ability, and then write one example of when that ability was recognized by a teacher, employer, parent, or friend. Then if you have a little extra time, you can work on the other 2. But for sure, focus on one to start with. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time to do that. And then I'll ask, 2 or 3 people if they want to share their examples with the group. So as you're thinking about these, remember that these example statements are really useful, particularly if you're filling out a job application and they ask you for some examples of your past experience, or if you're in an interview, or in the future when you're writing a cover letter or a summary statement on the top of your resume. So just a good thought process to really pull out some examples of how you have gained and used your strengths. So as you guys are finishing these up, if there is, I would love if one person from each class would be willing to share these examples with the group. We have any volunteers?
I've got a couple here that are good, but I've got one that I already asked. Is that okay, Britta?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right, this is Kendall.
Oh, you're making me read it? I thought you were going to read it. Dang.
Okay, so let's start with I have.
Okay. I have a strength/skill of socializing. I gained/used this when I was in 6th grade and had to make new friends. This was recognized by Mrs. Bogard when she saw me making friends with the new kids. There you go.
That is fantastic. It really highlights how you gain that skill, and the proof that somebody else recognized that in you definitely helps it stand out. That's fantastic. We have another volunteer.
There you go. Okay, Ben. Yep, you're doing it. Hey, no. They can't even see you. It's fine. Here you go. No, here. You got this. You got this. They can't see you. Here you go. No, here. You got one. No, this is Ben. Read it, Ben. Just read it. You got it. Okay, you got this. Okay, I do. I will give you some Skittles.
I have a strength/skill of being hardworking. I gained this when I was weight cutting for wrestling. This was recognized by my coaches when I got a starting spot on the wrestling team.
That is great. I love that that's really specific to you and the activities that you're in. And it's definitely another way to show hard work and dedication that a lot of other people aren't going to be able to show. So that is fantastic. Thanks so much for being willing to share. So knowing and highlighting your strengths is a great start. But I would assume that most of you aren't quite qualified for your dream job at this point. So looking for experiences to add to your resume is definitely encouraged. And it's great to find options that are in your desired pathway. But remember that what you learn and gain from an experience is the most important aspect. And the opportunity doesn't necessarily have to be career specific to be relevant, especially at this point. Rather than focusing on just building your resume, instead focusing on building up the skills you'll need to perform in your future career. And the resume will take care of itself. So the internship just give you an example, the internship I used to work for helped college students manage their own exterior painting companies in the summer months. The benefits were obvious for someone who was a management major or somebody that was going into construction. But the opportunity was often missed by students in other fields who could have greatly benefited. One of the interns that I remember really well, his name was Jared Allen, not the football player, but just as awesome in my opinion. He was a freshman who was pursuing a degree in chemical engineering. At one point in the year, he questioned whether a lab position would be more beneficial for his resume than continuing on with this management internship. I didn't want to push him either way. So I asked him to list what skills he would gain from each option and then choose from there. So once he had his list, I asked him to put himself in the shoes of a hiring manager and choose which version of himself he would rather hire. He realized that even though the management internship didn't directly correlate with his major, he would be developing the skills necessary to outcompete applicants for future positions because he would have skills that they wouldn't have. I'm proud to say he stuck it out and finished the internship. And then the following year, he was offered a summer position at 3M as a sophomore that was usually reserved for juniors or seniors, and then ended up working full-time for 3M after he graduated. So think about the career pathway or the path that you're pursuing. What are some skills that you need to gain or develop in order to set yourself apart? So I want you guys to think of 3 skills that you want to develop within the next year, not way down the line, 3 things that you can practically focus on developing in the next year. So 2 of them can be broad, like leadership, communication, organization, etc. And then I want you to have 1 be a little bit more specific. So whether it's handling client complaints or planning a project or learning how to code or use a specific software system or change a tire, or the list goes on and on. There's a lot of options. So I want you to write those 3 skills on your worksheet. So 2 can be broad, 1 really specific. And I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to a minute to go ahead and write those down. All right, and then next, brainstorm ways to grow those skills. So there are opportunities everywhere if you are looking hard enough and be creative. The obvious options are taking on a challenging job or an internship, or other ways to gain skills are volunteering, joining a student group or a community organization. So I want you to think of at least 2 actionable things that you can do in the next year in order to gain skills. So specific jobs, internships, volunteer opportunities, groups, etc. So go ahead and write those 2 ideas on your worksheet under the outside opportunities question. This can also include taking online courses, or you can utilize YouTube. There are a lot of great options out there for learning new skills. And then as you're writing those down, another way to grow your skills and add to your resume is to utilize activities and opportunities that you're already involved with, whether it's in the classroom or sports or theater or volunteer groups that you're already in. So if you're learning to gain leadership or planning skills, take the lead on some group projects in your class. If you want to experience handling finances, maybe run for treasurer of student council if that is a thing at your school, or ask your parents if they can talk to you a little bit about budgeting. If you want to gain experience with a particular skill that an adult in your life is really great at, ask them if you can help them out and you can put in a little bit of work with them. I remember one year I saw an opportunity with my old company to improve the way the events were coordinated. Event planning was something that I really wanted to gain some experience in. So I asked if I could help out with planning those events just for free on top of my other duties. I was able to do a really good job. And the next year I asked if they could let me take it over all the way and they would pay me for it. And they said yes, because I had gained those skills and I had proven myself. So there are opportunities for growth embedded in everything that you're involved in, and it only takes a little awareness to create your own opportunities. So think of 1 way that you can utilize your current obligations and activities in order to grow your skills, and then explain that on that last section on your worksheet. So I know I'm running right up to time again. So hopefully you can use some of these practices to know your strengths, better showcase your experiences, and grow your skills and capitalize on some of the opportunities in your future to get that career of your dreams. And now we don't have too much time, but if anybody has any questions, I am happy to answer.